This is CBC Here and Now.
Still ahead, we'll talk about why many people are leaving their red and white garb at home this year and donning an orange shirt instead.
It says a lot about how Canadians feel about this topic. I think people are impassioned about it.
We'll tell you how they're very hard to come by and what these orange shirts mean.
Well, it's the island's turn for some rain. Labrador looks beautiful over the next couple of days.
Almost 1 year after a homicide shook the St. John's West End neighbourhood, the RNC made an arrest.
I hope that brings the people of Craigmillar Avenue and the people of Newfoundland and Labrador some ease now that this person is in custody.
I'll have that coming up on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Peter Cowan. We start tonight, though, with the latest COVID-19 changes. In just 6 hours, the borders will be open and non-essential travel can happen again for the first time in more than a year. First doses for COVID-19 vaccinations are at almost 80%. Second doses are approaching 20%. Dr. Janice Fitzgerald says as we open up, we're going to shift and have to get used to living with COVID.
We're transitioning now from a phase of pandemic to moving into living with COVID and having COVID be a virus that circulates and that, from time to time we may see cases of. As more and more of us are vaccinated, we'll find that COVID will become a much more manageable disease, I'm sure, barring any new variants that may arise. So I think, we still have to be careful. We're trying to be hopeful. We're trying to be optimistic about what's going to happen over the summer and hope that we'll be able to enjoy a good summer as more and more people become vaccinated. I think that's really important.
So let's remind you about what's going to change tomorrow. People with 2 doses of vaccine can arrive from anywhere in Canada without isolating. People with just 1 dose will need to show a negative test, or they'll need to isolate and get one when they arrive. We'll give you some details about just how that's going to work in a minute. Rotational workers from outbreak sites will no longer have stricter quarantine requirements. They can follow the same rules as any other travelers. What about inside the province? Well, some rules are changing there too. Formal outdoor gatherings can now be 250 people. Indoor gatherings are limited to 200 people. Dancing will once again be allowed at weddings, but only weddings. No dancing at bars. Personal outdoor gatherings are limited to 50 people, and indoor personal gatherings, well, they're saying those should continue to be just your household and your 20 consistent contacts. Because a lot of people entering are going to need testing sites are being set up at airports in St. John's, Gander, and Deer Lake. You'll still need to book an appointment for when your flight arrives. Dr. Janice Fitzgerald says they didn't make it first come, first serve so they could plan for the volume of testing needed.
Operationally, the RHAs need to know that information to be able to staff and to ensure that they have enough people there to be able to do the testing. They do have contingency plans in place with regard to cancellation of flights or delay of flights and things like that.
Now, there's no charge for travelers who arrive and need a test, but if you need to get a test to travel elsewhere, you're going to have to pay. Health officials won't let you book a test unless you have 1 symptom. So the Premier said you'll have to find a private lab and pay for the test yourself.
We don't cover travel insurance. We don't, there's all kinds of things that government doesn't cover with respect to travel for tourism purposes, and this would be no different. There are private options available.
Today, they also announced 1 new case of COVID-19. It's a woman in the eastern region, and it is related to travel.
Well, we've got a moist air mass moving in over the next couple of days. Certainly through tomorrow, we're going to start to see some of that rain move in. Here's a look at some of that moisture this week, but note the winds. We're going to see more of an onshore flow, a more northeasterly flow for parts of the province, or for parts of eastern Newfoundland, really, and that will continue through the day on Thursday. So we are going to see some fog develop with this one. Friday, we'll see that move off, but then another round of moisture will move in and skirt the southern portions of the island, it looks like, into Saturday. Now, taking a look at the rainfall amounts through the day tomorrow, most of that will be along southern areas of the island. A little bit further north, you're looking at about probably 5 millimeters of rain, and then south of that, about 10 to 20. So I'll time that out for you and have your full forecast when I come back.
Thank you, Ashley. Well, almost 1 year after a deadly shooting on Craig Miller Avenue in the west end of St. John's, police have made an out-of-province arrest. The RNC provided an update on its investigation. Henrika Wilhelm reports.
The RNC has made an arrest in relation to the murder of James Cody last year.
As a result of an extensive and complex investigation into the events that led to Mr. Cody's death, the RNC Major Crime Unit have arrested 44-year-old Kurt Churchill in connection with the homicide. Officers with the RNC Criminal Investigation Division have worked closely with the Toronto Police Service.
44-year-old Churchill was arrested in Toronto last night. Police there acted on a warrant issued by the RNC. He's charged with a number of crimes, including second-degree murder in possession of a prohibited firearm. James Cody, a 47-year-old resident of Paradise, was found dead in the street on Craig Miller Avenue last summer. The shooting occurred around 4 a.m. on the morning of July 5th. His death was later ruled a homicide. RNC say Cody and Churchill knew each other. Both were previously charged with drug-related crimes. Both were acquitted. Churchill has no criminal record. He was found guilty of threatening a police officer in 2019, but received a conditional discharge. According to court documents, a search of Churchill's Craig Miller home turned up more than $430,000, a money counter, a vacuum sealer, and boxes of storage bags. Today, police wanted to reassure residents of the West End neighborhood.
I want to ensure the public that at any time, if public safety was compromised, the RNC would act without question. This investigation, like I said, lasted over a year, and it's simply because of the volume of work and the complexities with any homicide investigation. I hope that brings the people of Craig Miller Avenue and the people of Newfoundland and Labrador some ease now that this person is in custody.
Craig Miller became a point of focus again earlier this year when shots were reported on the street on January 22nd. The RNC wouldn't comment on whether the two incidents are related to each other. Churchill is currently in custody in Ontario and will be brought to St. John's as soon as possible. Henrika Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Another community in the province is putting a hold on its Canada Day celebrations tomorrow. Holyrood is moving its annual fireworks to later in the month and cancelling its planned Canada Day kickoff. The town says it's making the changes to recognize and support Indigenous communities throughout the country. Instead, the town will light up a local park in Orange from 9 p.m. until midnight tomorrow.
Well, speaking of Orange, given the discovery of so many unmarked graves at residential schools in this country, many are deciding to drop the red and white clothing tomorrow and wear orange instead. But at this point, getting your hands on something orange might be difficult. Here now's Colleen Connors explains.
You may see a lot of this tomorrow, crowds in orange. Towns like Grand Falls, Windsor and Stephenville ask residents to wear orange on July 1st in memory of the Indigenous children who were taken from their families and never brought home. But you may not be able to find one. Mi'kmaq Printing and Design in Charlottetown, PEI printed thousands, sending them all over Canada. Their website now says with such a high influx of orders, quantities are limited.
Oh, it's overwhelming. The amount of support from all over is just heartwarming.
Many customers plan on wearing them on Canada Day.
I just feel Canadian government has not done enough to help the Mi'kmaq people, and I guess I feel nor have I, so I'm just a little way to do my part.
First Light's Decolonize YY t-shirts are selling out with over 1,500 sold, all proceeds going to the residential school's memorial garden. The people of the Dawn Friendship Centre in St. George's is getting endless inquiries for orange shirts.
I think it says a lot about how Canadians feel about this topic. I think people are impassioned about it and interested in it and wanting to know more and wanting to recognize the significance of these recent discoveries. So I think it says a lot for our sensibilities as Canadians as a whole. And I think it's an opportunity to learn.
Golding thinks it's great if people want to wear these types of shirts tomorrow, but it's very important that they understand the history behind it and what the orange shirt stands for. When Phyllis Jack Webstand was 6 years old, her grandmother gifted her an orange shirt for her first day of school. But her clothes were taken from her on her first day at residential school and never returned. The September Orange Shirt Day was inspired by her story.
So it's a sign of that grief of not being able to be your true self in that sense.
On it, you can see a few Indigenous signs.
Given the high demand, many may not be able to find an orange shirt. Golding says an orange ribbon, wearing another Indigenous symbol, or even wearing red is fine.
But think about what it means to be Canadian. Think about and reflect on the history of being Canadian and of being an Indigenous person in Canada. Think about it from our perspective.
Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
While the province's music scene is getting more diverse all the time, Music NL says that isn't reflected in its numbers. A recent survey found that just 10 out of its 457 members are newcomers to the province. Now Music NL is working hard to sign and support more musicians. And as you're about to see, there are a lot of new voices out there.
Newfoundland has such a rich music scene, but it's more diverse than people think, I guess. I think Music NL is trying to show that a little bit. Oh, who has died? He joined the sun and the sea.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Tulk-Lane, Executive Director of Music NL. Music NL started looking at diversity just about a year ago. When we looked at the membership that we currently had, we just didn't see enough reflection of our community. And we knew there were so many newcomers in Newfoundland and Labrador that were engaged with the music scene that we really needed to step up our diversity and inclusion work.
There's a loneliness I love that's disappeared without warning.
So we started with a survey to see where are we. Right now we have 457 members. We had about 10 newcomer members. So quite low when you look at the 457 and only 10 of them were newcomers. So that was really when we knew we've got work to do.
Hello, my name is Ana Luisa Ramos.
And I'm Eric Taylor Escudeiro.
And we're from Brazil, and we play together as
Ana and Eric.
Yeah. So as soon as we moved here, we started following all the pages on Facebook about the music scene here in St. John's. And when we found out that Music NL exists, for us, like, we don't have a Music NL back in Brazil. So it was really nice because they really help us.
And I think that as you arrive here, like everything is new, so you need like even like basic information that people usually take for granted. So like how do you apply for a grant, or how do you contact a venue, for example.
And now they are having some really nice initiatives for newcomers to diversify the music scene.
We've been working with newcomer members throughout our organization now for months. And just to give you a taste of where they're from and some of their stories, it's absolutely amazing. So of course there's Anna and Eric. We have Ife Alaba.
I've never felt so insecure about being in the spotlight.
Don't remind me of my bad time, don't remind me.
We have Zuba 4000.
Alive.
We also have King Sway.
We do not just disappear, cause 2020 has already been hell of a year. I wanna have a good time with the boys tonight.
Zai Nova from Indonesia. Zai also works at the Association for New Canadians and has his own podcast. Music NL truly wants to reflect the community that we live in and our province. And as we see increased immigration and newcomers, it's something that just has to happen, that we are an organization that actually they see themselves represented in.
There are so many flowers. When you arrive to a new country, you can't help but feeling a little bit alone. So this kind of support, knowing that there are people that are working for you and with you, I think this makes us feel much safer, I guess.
Yeah, and more part of the community.
Exactly. Lose track of time.
Lose track of time.
Well, From music to sports, a big announcement from the province's rugby community.
Yeah, an international competition is returning to Newfoundland. St. John's will be the host site for the first of 2 games in the qualifier for the World Rugby Cup. That international competition is being held in France in 2 years.
Yeah, the game in early fall will be between Canada and the United States, which is something of a rematch. And local rugby player Patrick Parfrey is expected to play for Canada in that Labor Day weekend game.
Occur on Saturday, September the 4th, in a few months' time. It'll be the first international rugby game in Newfoundland and Labrador since Canada beat the United States in 2006 here. And that's partly the reason it's coming back here, I think. If anybody can remember that game, Rod Snow scored a try down there in the first 10 minutes of the game. The crowd went berserk, and they stayed berserk for the entire duration of the game.
A sometimes overlooked St. John's Monument is about to turn 100. The Sergeant's Memorial was unveiled July 1st, 1921, the first public monument honoring the First World War.
It became the focal point of Remembrance Day ceremonies in St. John's.
Dismiss! I'm Jeremy Eaton, and I'll tell you more about it coming up on Here and Now. Welcome back to Here and Now. Now, if you've ever driven around in downtown St. John's, you may have seen this monument here at the base of Garrison Hill, but many people don't know a lot about it. So I wanted to learn more, so I reached out to a man who does, and that's Frank Gogos, and he's our guest today. Frank, thanks for joining us. Frank, what is this? What can you tell us about this behind you?
This is a memorial that was erected in 1921 by the 2nd Battalion Sergeants' Mess. At the end of the war, the 2nd Battalion, which was the training depot in Britain, closed up, and the mess had a profit of about £250. And so as they were shutting down the organization, they decided to spend it on a memorial. And at the time, this would have been the first public memorial erected in St. John's.
This war memorial, I guess, was first opened to the public on July 1st, 1921. Was this one of the first war memorials in St. John's?
Well, there's a number of war memorials open inside churches and organizations before this one. And the July 1st remembrance ceremonies took place in Bannerman Park, starting on July 1st, 1917, until this was opened in 1921.
What sort of role did it play, I guess, after 1921?
Well, for the next couple of years, it became the focal point of Remembrance Day ceremonies in St. John's until the National War Memorial opened up on Duckworth Street.
Is this still significant today when it comes to the Remembrance Day ceremonies or the Memorial Day ceremonies?
Absolutely. This is where everybody forms up before they march down in parade to the National War Memorial on July 1st and November the 11th. So there's a big focal point here. Most of the citizens of St. John's actually don't realize that. They go to the National War Memorial and they see the parade come by, but actually this is where they form up. They do a small ceremony here, and then they form up and move out. They commissioned the cross in 1919 from Edinburgh, Scotland, and it was shipped to Newfoundland in 1920, but it was a bit late for the July 1st ceremonies that year. So it was officially unveiled the next year, sitting on top of a granite stone from Newfoundland.
It will turn 100 years old on July 1st, when it first opened up. Does it surprise you as somebody who studies like a local historian that many people don't know the significance of this?
Well, it's like a lot of sites around St. John's. You grow up here, you see it every day, and you generally don't, it doesn't twig to you unless you're specifically interested or part of the groups and organizations that, pay their tributes here. So it's not surprising. And, every time we get a chance to educate people on the importance of certain monuments, it's a good thing.
Well, Ashley, I know you're going to talk a little bit about the Memorial Day forecast for anyone who may be going out to their local cenotaph. Doesn't look great on the island, but I guess the good news is it's not going to be 40 degrees.
Yeah, that's right. Heat still very much the story across western portions of the country. Let's take a look at that again, just to show you. Not so warm in BC so much. I mean, it's still warm, but the heat is starting to creep a little bit further east. So that heat dome now over Alberta and into parts of Saskatchewan, where we're seeing 35, 36 degree temperatures again. And if we go a little bit further east towards maritime provinces, we're seeing some heat there as well. Areas seeing 30, 31 degrees for parts of Nova Scotia. Not quite the story, though, for parts of the island. We're looking at temperatures in the 20s. Still beautiful, though, out there. Much nicer than it was yesterday by far. For St. John's, reached a high near 19 degrees. And then we've got those temperatures into the teens again across Labrador, 13 degrees in Cartwright, 8. Your single-digit highs for Nain. Now, these temperatures aren't going to last long. We are going to see a cool down as we head through the night tonight. This is where we're sitting now, but those temperatures are going to dip down into the single digits as our overnight lows. And we've got an area of low pressure offshore, but we do have lots of rain on the way as we head through the night tonight. Already starting to see that rain for the southwest, not picking up that radar because that radar is offline, will be until June next year, but on the west coast. But that eastern radar in Holyrood is starting to pick up that rain. So We are going to see that continue as we head through the overnight tonight. Likely going to see that rain for the southeastern portion of Labrador as well. And then things will start to clear out as a ridge of high pressure starts to dominate for you across the Big Land. It is going to stay unsettled across the island. So we are going to see that rain push in as we get into the early morning hours the further east you go. Temperatures tonight, 8-9 degrees for most of central and eastern Newfoundland. Winds generally light though, 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. And then we've got temperatures between 8 to 12 for the west. Your winds will be out of the east about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then that clearing skies, like I said, across Labrador with your winds easing and temperatures into the single digits. Now, as we head through the day tomorrow, beautiful across the Big Land, except the chance of a few showers for the southeast. And then we should see some clearing skies as the day goes on. And then for the island, the most of the day, all of the day will be cloudy for all of the island, but we'll start to see that shower activity sink a little bit further south as the day goes on. So by after lunch, most of the northeast should actually just see those cloudy skies, and that rain should be south of you. It will be a wet day across the rest of southern Newfoundland as we get into the early morning hours on Friday, and also some fog patches. Note that wind shift, like I've been talking about for the past couple of days, into that northerly wind, and when we see that, we see fog patches develop and we see those cooler temperatures along with that moisture. So temperatures tomorrow, don't expect anything pretty much warmer than this. 8 to 10 degrees, a little bit warmer in Placentia, about 13. Again, those winds out of the northeast about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. As you head towards central, temperatures a bit warmer, 11 to 12 degrees in that onshore flow, though along the northeast, temperatures should stay into the single digits. And then Harbour Breton, about 12 degrees is your daytime high tomorrow. But again, they're not going to be onshore, so you'll probably see your fog lift as you get into the afternoon. And then for the west coast, you're looking at your winds out of the east, again, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, generally seeing low teens through the day. And then northern peninsula should stay dry for the most part. You may even see a few peaks of sun as the day goes on, but those temperatures will be cool. 8 degrees for St. Anthony, 9 in Cartwright. You'll see your showers in the morning. Look at the rest of the Big Land. Beautiful day, 18 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 19 in Lab City. Finally going to see a nice stretch of weather. It looks like right through the weekend and into the beginning of next week. However, looking a little bit unsettled for the island, but I'll get into the full long-range forecast when I come back.
Well, we've all been waiting a long time for the provincial borders to open to non-essential travel, and tomorrow is the day that it finally happens. And joining me now are two very excited cousins. COVID has kept them and so many of us apart for far too long, and that's soon going to come to an end for Sandra Layden and Megan Crocker. They both grew up in Dildo, and they join me now. Sandra, I know you're just north of Toronto. How did you find out that Newfoundland and Labrador were reopening, and what did you do?
Oh my gosh, I was home, I was working, and my friend Maria wrote me and asked if I had heard the news. I said, no, I didn't hear the news. What news are you talking about? And then my phone blew up. Everyone was telling me that the borders were open, and I booked the flight. I think it was probably 30 seconds after Maria told me that the borders were open.
All right, so you took action right away.
Yeah.
So Sandra, it's been a while, obviously. I know that you managed to get back and you had to self-isolate, but what have you missed most about not being able to come home?
I miss my friends, my family, my grandparents, my cousins, obviously, the little people in my life, the little babies. My cousin Megan had a little guy last year. Luckily, I got to see him for a little bit. My friends Stacey and Arthur have a little girl named Abby who's fighting cancer, who I can't wait to see. And another one of my friends had a little boy, Salem, just before I came home last year. So all these little babies are waiting at home for me to come fully vaccinated and give them hugs and kisses. So I'm so excited.
Okay, one of those people is Megan, who we also have with us now. So Megan, obviously you're very close with your cousin. How does it feel knowing that you're going to get to see Sandra, but this time for real and not on FaceTime or Zoom as we're using right now?
Well, when she first called me and she told me, obviously the two of us just couldn't stop crying. The best part about this time around her coming home is that she doesn't have to quarantine. I can hug her right away and not have to stare at her behind a fence. I'm over the moon.
Now, tell me if this is true, but I heard that when you had your baby, this during the pandemic, is it true that you used some kind of special mind control so that you didn't deliver the baby until your cousin? Tell me that story. What happened?
Okay, so Sandra Lee was in quarantine and I was super pregnant. And she said, Megan, I'm going to be out of quarantine this date. You got to hold your baby in until that date. So I was like, I'll try. and I had the baby the day after she was out of quarantine.
That's
amazing.
That's remarkable, isn't it, Sandra? I mean, how considerate is that?
I thought it was very special. It meant a lot to me that she held off until I could officially come and hold him safely. And then I got to meet him, and I've had naps with him, and now he's he'll be just a year old when I get home. So it's a whole different human I'm coming home to.
Right, he's grown up a bit. We've all gotten a bit older during this pandemic. So let me ask you both of this, and maybe I'll start with you, Sandra. What's the first thing on the to-do list once you get home?
There's a couple things. The number one thing I want to do is, I mentioned my friend Abigail. She's currently fighting lymphatic leukemia, and she's been in chemo for a year. Last year I had to wait 2 weeks before I could hug her, and I had to wear a mask the whole time. So this time I get to go straight off the plane to her mom, Stacy, and her dad, Art, and I get to see Abigail too. And then from there, we're gonna go hang out in the ocean.
All right. Oh yeah, you missed the ocean quite a bit.
Oh my gosh, do I ever. The biggest thing is in Ontario, anytime there's a body of land, or sorry, a body of water, people want to go gather by it. So I miss just walking out your door to find a body of water and there not be 200 other people enjoying it with you.
Okay, well, let me let Megan wrap things up for us. So Megan, what's the welcoming committee going to be like for your cousin?
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna have. I got an outfit for my little one. As soon as she touches down this time, I'm there. I'm gonna give her the biggest hug, and I know we're gonna cry again. And I just can't wait for her to see how big Max is now. And I'm just gonna hang out so much. I'm not gonna let her go.
I can't wait to see Max.
I know.
Well, listen, I can tell that you two are cousins who are almost like sisters, and it's great, and it's really uplifting to actually see two people who are so happy to be reunited. I know a lot of people watching tonight hope that they're going to be doing the same things with their family. So listen, safe travels to you, Sandra, and Megan. I hope you have a great reunion. Thank you both very much.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
This is not, the greenhouses of the past that everybody talks about. This is a technological, I guess, wonder of sorts, and, we can use it to grow year-round, all kinds of crops, along with being able to store things.
There's self-sufficient, and then there's David Goodyear. From the Ground Up with Carolyn Stokes is just ahead.
Well, as you might have noticed, Carolyn is off this week, but she has prepared our next item, and it's part of our ongoing series, From the Ground Up.
Yeah, CBC NL and Food Producers Forum have teamed up to bring you this series focusing on the local food movement. Tonight, we're meeting David Goodyear in Flat Rock, who has built an earth shelter greenhouse, root cellar, raised beds, among a few other neat things. Here's Carolyn with that.
I'm here in Flat Rock to find out how one local physicist is taking self-sufficiency to the next level. Let's go have a look. David Goodyear, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, this is your homestead and you're going to show us around. Where should we start?
I think the best place to start is right over here at the greenhouse.
Excellent. What makes it so special?
So you'll notice that compared to a conventional greenhouse, there's only, I guess, glazings or glass on one side. So it's highly insulated everywhere, which means that it's able to retain heat way through the winter, into spring, all times of the year. The beautiful thing is about it means that we can grow year round here. It doesn't cost us any heat in the winter at all. It's all about the way that the greenhouse was designed, storing heat from summer in the ground and using it through the winter.
How do you store the heat from the summer into the winter?
In the summertime, a fan system pushes hot air underground and it comes out the other end cool. So it provides cooling in the summer, and during the time that you're cooling, it's actually just storing heat underground. So it raises that ground temperature up and you're able to store enough heat to just weather through that cold winter.
So how much does it cost to build something like this though?
So at the time, I mean, I built it myself. So, you know, the labor costs are, I guess, is hard to include, but material costs from start to finish was somewhere around $12,000. If you start factoring in the cost of, I guess, growing food year round, you know, the operational costs are low, but you end up getting food year round. So I estimated that, you know, it had a payback of maybe kind of 5 to 6 years.
Let's have a look. Oh, wow.
Cucumbers, 4 varieties of tomatoes, 3 varieties of peppers, we got some fig trees, you know, lots of cool stuff.
Even some ginger over there?
We got some ginger root growing, yeah. Over the past several years, I've looked at, you know, the possibility of creating a model lifestyle that other people can follow and that maybe they can learn from, that, you know, that we don't need to necessarily depend on things coming from outside of the province. You know, we can depend on what we already have here, and we do have the technology. I mean, you can see it here in the greenhouse. And like, for example, these tomatoes were started in April and they're already ripe. And this is not, you know, the greenhouses of the past that everybody talks about. This is a technological, I guess, wonder of sorts. We can use it to grow year round, all kinds of crops, along with being able to store things. So outside we have strawberries. These were put in last year, and we propagated somewhere around 100 plants here, which gives us strawberries through the whole year.
They're really far along.
They are, actually. This has been a great spring for growing strawberries especially. It's been quite warm. We got lots of potatoes growing. Potatoes a staple. Like the old traditional Newfoundland diet, we grow 4 different varieties, 2 different blues, a red and a white. And this is really just a storage crop. So this all goes in the cellar, and we store it for about 8-9 months.
And you have beans and stuff down there?
One of the goals we set last year was to try to be self-sufficient in peas and beans for the year. So this is all potatoes also, so we eat a lot of potatoes. We produce about 500 pounds a year here and down below.
500 pounds? 500
pounds, but you know, you need it if you want to have
Jig's dinner.
Security and lots of jig dinner. And you'll be surprised, I mean, you can do lots of things with potatoes, right? Under this row cover here, there's a celeriac with celery root, which is not something that's traditionally grown, but it has a flavor of celery, but stores really, really well in the cellar. So there's a lot of garlic here, 700 onions grown in the garden. Having variety, so we got a red, a white, a pickler, a leeks, shallots, we got it all. And you'll notice, of course, that everything in the garden has protective covering. And the protective covering is really about extending season, so you can actually extend into the spring, you can actually extend into the fall, and it also helps protect from pests.
So a lot of this you'll take out and then you'll put in your root cellar.
They all get pulled late November. So it's about leaving it in the ground as long as you can so it's still alive, then basically storing it for 6 to 8 months in the cellar.
Can we see your root cellar?
Yeah, we can go have a look right now if you want.
Chilly.
Yeah, it's about maybe 7 degrees in here now. Well, it's like 20, probably 22, 23 outside. The beautiful thing is about it that it'll stay pretty cool all year. In the summer, the temperature does go up a bit, which makes it hard to store things. But really, you're looking at keeping things from freezing through the winter. It's only 7 by 7, but you know, we're able to store like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of food in here. They were a technology that was tried and true for such a long period of time. Like, you question why it is that we're not using passive storage methods like this when they work like really, really well. And they don't depend on the grid.
So you also live in a passive house. Can you explain the features of your home?
So a passive house is quite different than a normal home. Normal homes tend to be insulated to R20, which means that the walls are fairly thin. That's one of the defining features of a passive house. Super insulated, so the walls are like this thick, so it tends to help retain heat. The windows are what they call triple glazed rather than a double glaze, so they tend to hold in heat better, but they also, I guess, capture more of the sun's rays. The house is kind of arranged so that we end up passively gaining heat from the sun. So in the winter, when the sun is low in the sky, on the back of the house, the windows are all large. So that captures a lot of the sun, holds in the heat. And on the north side, you'll see that the windows are a lot smaller. Because although we might want to see out at the north, really we lose a lot of energy through there if the windows were big. So it makes
same as your greenhouse.
It's the same as a greenhouse, exactly. So once again, passive design principles, right?
So this is your chicken coop, but it's more like a chicken hotel or a chicken resort. It's really, really big.
My neighbor calls it the Hen Hilton. For obvious reasons, I think. So yeah, the chicken coop, you know, is a great step in food security. You know, you have, you know, chickens that are going to lay every day.
How many eggs do you get?
We get about 10 to 11 a day, which is pretty good, right? There is this thing called chicken math. So chicken math goes that, you know, you get 10 chickens, but then all of a sudden you want 10 more, and then you want 10 more.
Well, you have a great thing going here, David. Thank you so much for showing us around.
I just want to say, I guess, at the end that, you know, there's a lot of work, but you know, the work is worth every bit of it. I wouldn't change anything for the world. And I do try my best to kind of, you know, provide information and stuff to people. So if people want to follow along, you know, they can go to Facebook and they can have a look at the Homestead at Flat Rock. And we got all kinds of stuff we're posting, everything you've seen in the garden plus more. And hopefully, you know, we can inspire people to do some of the same.
Ashley, I know some people, this person included, took Friday off in order to give themselves a super long weekend. So give me an idea, was this the right choice?
Nope, not here anyway. No, it's not looking nice. It's looking chilly, unfortunately, thanks to that northeasterly flow that I've been talking about all week and warning everybody about. But yeah, let's take a look.
Did we listen? No.
Probably not. Let's take a look at the long-range outlook there. You can see we are going to see some showers through the day on Friday, mainly at least through central, slight chance of some showers, but then we should actually see some clearing skies as that ridge of high pressure will sink a little bit further south across Labrador. A beautiful Friday expected, plenty of sunshine, some nice temperatures as well. And then as we get into Saturday, we're going to see another low skirt south of Newfoundland, Labrador. So we are going to see that chance of some showers again through the day when the food fishery opens officially on Saturday. Looking like we're still in that onshore flow, so likely going to see some fog in eastern areas. The better weather will be towards central and the northern peninsula as well as coastal Labrador. As we head through the day on Saturday, again, Sunday looking fairly nice, and then another low Sunday. It looks like mainly southern Newfoundland will see, southern and eastern Newfoundland will see the effects of that one. So another round of rain on the way. Temperatures Friday, again, staying cool in the east thanks to that onshore flow. 10 degrees for St. John's with some rain. The further towards central you get, keeping those temperatures in the teens through the day. Same thing for the west coast. You should actually see a mix of sun and cloud, and the sun may peek out through central as well. Same thing for the northern peninsula. Looking at a mix of sun and cloud. Gorgeous day across the big land. 20 degrees for Lab City, Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 22, and Nain, you're going to see a high near 16 degrees on Friday. And then as we head into Saturday, similar forecast for you across Labrador. Even seeing your temperatures bump up to 23 degrees. And then for the island, again, through central, looking much nicer than it will in the east. Going to keep those temperatures again around 11 degrees. And that's again thanks to that onshore flow. For southern Newfoundland, your temperatures will be pretty similar, 10 to 13 degrees across the board with the periods of rain through the afternoon. Mainly, the heaviest rain will fall in the evening hours. Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, really looking at some more periods of rain for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. As we get into Monday, though, looks like some sunshine and 18 degrees. And then for central Newfoundland, going to keep things cloudy for Sunday and Monday with that chance of some showers moving in as well. Temperatures about 18 degrees by the time you get to Monday. Overnight lows back into the double digits. For western Newfoundland, Friday, Saturday looking fairly nice, but then by Sunday, again, a return of the potential for a few showers, 15 to 17 degrees as your daytime highs. And then for eastern Labrador, look at that beautiful stretch of weather, sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud as you get into Sunday and Monday. Temperatures in the mid-20s, overnight lows about 10 to 11 degrees. A little bit cooler for Monday night, back down to the single digits. And then for western Labrador, a little bit of some showers will move through on Monday, but overall temperatures in the 20s. Wanted to share this photo, sunset in Fogo last week. Linda shared that one with us. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
There have been fires at 2 more Roman Catholic churches in Canada, one in Nova Scotia, the other in Alberta.
Oh, it's going to crash. Oh, it is crashing.
Well, this fire destroyed a church in Alberta about 40 kilometers north of Edmonton. Firefighters were called in around 3 a.m. but were unable to save the century-old building. Police say that some nearby buildings, including a home for the elderly, had to be evacuated. The Nova Scotia church that burned is located on First Nations land about 60 kilometers north of Halifax. That fire was reported a little after 4 a.m. The building was badly damaged but remains intact. In both cases, the cause of the fire is under investigation. These incidents come after recent fires in BC that destroyed 4 Catholic churches on First Nations territory. A delegation of Indigenous leaders and Canadian bishops will be meeting with Pope Francis in December. They will formally invite him to Canada to apologize for the Roman Catholic Church's involvement in the residential school system.
There's no guarantee that he'll even come back to Canada, but we have to make the attempt, and we have to seize the opportunity And I believe the Spirit will move. And I think things will happen in a good way. That's my belief, and that's my hope, and that's my prayer.
The Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops says Pope Francis has invited the delegations to the Vatican. He will meet separately with 3 groups, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit, starting December 17th. There will then be a final audience with all 3 groups on December 20th.
Well, as COVID appears to dwindle a little more each day, perhaps you're wondering if you can stop wearing a mask wherever you go. As provinces prepare to reopen, one expert says it's not time to get rid of the mask just yet.
It's kind of our last line of defense, particularly given that we know that the Delta variant is much more transmissible than previous variant, and that previous variant was more transmissible than parent strain. So we're dealing with a variant that's very, very transmissible. So to me, that really should be the last thing that we remove.
Now, the doctor says part of the goal of reopening plans is to stimulate the economy and allow people to go into businesses once again, and wearing a mask does not prevent any of that from happening. To the United States now, Pennsylvania's highest court has overturned Bill Cosby's sexual assault conviction. The court said an agreement that Cosby had with a previous prosecutor should have prevented him from being charged in the case. Now, Cosby has served more than 2 years of a sentence that could have stretched to a decade. He had been convicted of drugging and molesting Andrea Constand at his suburban estate in 2004. The court said the prosecutor who made the decision to have Cosby arrested was obligated to keep his predecessor's promise. Now, that previous prosecutor promised not to charge Cosby when he gave potentially incriminating testimony in Constand's civil suit.
Welcome back to Here and Now. What better way to mark a major life transition than, well, with a road trip? 5 friends from Fredericton have some even bigger plans.
Yeah, big road trip. They've bought a school bus for an upcoming cross-country adventure for one last hurrah before they enter into the workforce. And the group wants to see Canada's major sites, and they want to do it in style. Let's take a look.
We kind of talked about what we wanted to do for the summer after graduating. Maybe a school bus would be kind of a fun thing to renovate. My name is Tom Skogan. I'm a recent graduate from UMB, Mechanical Engineering, and our whole group is recent graduates as well. And we kind of wanted to do something fun before we moved on to our jobs. And we kind of discussed traveling around, but then of course COVID hit and we couldn't really go anywhere. And our next logical step was to discuss buying a school bus. The plan is to go west and see all the major spots. The big one will be Banff and Jasper. Niagara Falls. We graduated and then we bought the bus about 7.5–8 weeks ago, and we've been pretty much on it non-stop since then. We made it happen with a lot of blood, sweat and tears. We have 2 couches, which one of them can become sort of a dinette, a little table, and they also join together to become a large super bed, I guess, if someone comes to visit. We've got a fridge, we've got a freezer, we've got a propane stove oven, we've got a composting toilet, a shower, a good solar panel set up on the roof, so we've kind of got all the bases. To be honest, we didn't have a whole lot of carpentry experience, so it was a little bit of a learning curve. We're looking to finish by the end of August, so we'll do a good 2 months on the road, and then by the time we're done, we're looking to sell the bus, hopefully out west, and fly back. If there's any interested buyers, let me know.
And a new sitcom is born.
I just hope one of them's going to be the designated driver. I think that'll be
It's pretty crowded there. Do you see those 3 beds up at the top there?
Good job, though.
Scenes.
Oh, to be young again.
Yeah. All right, so tomorrow we are not here. Well, we'll be here, but not here. And then on Friday, you guys are off for a bit, right?
Yes.
All right, and I'm here alone on Friday.
You're probably the one that arranged for the bad weather, so you don't feel so badly about working on Friday.
That bad?
No, it's not that bad. It's just cool. It's okay.
Yeah. Now, Peter, just before we go for tomorrow, as most people aren't working tomorrow, what's the latest on the vaccination rates as far as who are the most vaccinated people right now in the province?
70 to 79-year-olds, they've got 96% vaccinated, so they're the ones to beat as we keep an eye on those.
Right. See you on Friday.
Have a good night.
Good night.